All right, so we're going to start with some green. We're working on the zombie green. We've got a lot of parts to spray, but we're doing the um, MK22. And then we're also working on a scar, and they're going to be a set for one client. So we're working on the scar body as well. So that's what we're doing. So if you're following along, then we're going to get to painting. So we're going to start with basically I use Grinch green, which is like a really, really green. And then I'm going to do some shading with some tractor green. And then once that's all done, then I'll go back and I'll do my normal like distressing for GoatGuns. The accessories are going to get this titanium, which is kind of a silvery gray. It's pretty sharp. I do a lot of the titanium. I love the contrast. So we're going to be using the .08 needle or the .8 needle to start. And that's how we're going to get going with the large pieces. And then we'll switch over to we got a smaller one for smaller pieces, but most of this we'll be able to use this larger one. And starting off with just a normal light coat, and then we go back over it with a bigger one. But you can see this .8 needle throws a lot of paint, so it gives me a really nice base coat to start, and that gives me my tack coat. And once that tack coat's down, then I'll go back and I'll put my thicker coat on. So again, here we go. And I always spray the insides as well. It just gives a more complete finished look. And for me, I just like the way it looks. But there you go. So again, we just got that green right in there. We're going to throw down on the scar body. What's up, Big Dan? Hey, can you hear me okay? I'm trying this mic out and I haven't tried it before, so I want to make sure it's working. If anybody can let me know if you can hear me, that would be super helpful. Hey, yes, awesome. Hey, what's up, buddy? Thanks for joining. All right, here we go. So we're just getting all my edges first. It's a good idea to get your edges, and then when you're doing a pick rail like this, I spray down the line like this, because what that's going to do is going to fill the front and backs of all the little parts of the pick rail. And then I go down this way, and then I go main body. And again, there we go. So now we've got this crazy green, which is again going to be the green for the Grinch color. Now this is a little bit more complex piece. Appreciate that, Dan. We're gonna be working in all of those. So using this .8 needle, you just got to be careful and get little short blasts. If you're working on real steel, obviously you've got a little bit more room to play with. But what I want to make sure is that I get paint in all of the areas without putting too much paint on the outer section of the body. So now you can see I'm getting the paint inside there, which is really important. And then we'll start running our edges. Always try to run your edges first, and then run your main body. And the reason I say do that is because if you're trying to run all of your edges, now we're going to put a top coat on here anyway, but if you're trying to run all the edges after you've painted the main part of a body, especially a larger flat section, the overspray from this can sometimes hit that and cause a dry, kind of a dry feel to it. So try to avoid that. But we're working on just all these little pieces. And just keep going. So anybody that is curious, we use Duracoat. Same thing we use on a real firearm. It's more expensive, but it ensures that the projects that we do get a really good finish. So this is the body, the lower receiver of the MK22. And this process allows me to run back and forth between different projects. So like if I'm working on Real Guns one day and Goat Guns the next day, or a game controller. Even though the paint technically is a little bit more expensive, it allows me to very fluidly move between projects without having to worry about what I have in what cleaners I'm using, what brush am I using for this project, so on and so forth. Because what you really want to avoid is mixing two different kinds of paints back and forth, or getting different paint in your airbrush and then trying to paint that on something else. It'll get to be, you end up with a problem at some point. So this keeps it simple, and I know that I'm working with a project and a product that's going to produce a really good finished look. And you get to where you know your paint really well, which of course makes it a lot easier to produce a really nice finished product. And there's that crazy green right there. What's up, Will?
Password to install.
Oh. Setting up a printer. Okay. So even if you're doing real like spray paint, the softness of the spray is so important. And I'm actually working on a project where I'm using full size gold. There's only 3 people on, but if you know, you know what I'm working on. And I think I finally got it to work the way I want it to. And then I use Duracoat Clear to clear it. Again, here we go with the pick rail. We're going to run down the length of the pick rail first. And that will ensure that we fill in all the fronts and the backs of the rail as we do it. So that's it. And it is green. Very, very green. So if you haven't watched my channel before, or you don't follow me, I would recommend it if you want to see what we're working on, because I'm not going to have a full project. But this is I do quite a few zombie designs. It's very popular. And so that's what we're working on right now, is we're getting this base green down. It's a lot of green. So the majority of it is green. And then there you go. And then once the main parts are done, then we start going and adding stencils and blood splatter. And I've got other parts that are going to be titanium, like part of the scope will be titanium with green accents, so on and so forth. So if you like to follow along, you like to know what's going on. This particular project is for a regular client. He's in the Goat Guns Addicts group. So, you know, it's kind of cool sometimes you get to see your project being worked on. But here we go. So this is the base coat. As you can see, I hope you can see, it is mostly see-through. Now here's also, I'll demonstrate. So this is I painted just a few minutes ago with you guys on, and I can already handle it. Now it's still soft in the fact that you could scratch it, but it's dry to the touch, so it allows me to work with it very easily. So I'm going to put the top coat on, and that's going to give us the nice finished look. And you see I run a nice long clean lines on it. And since we already put a little spray on the inside, it gives us a finished look. And now you can kind of see how that's going to look. Now, the cool thing is once this dries, like your text right there for the MRAD, that will set into there and it look really, really finished and clean. That's another thing I really like about Duracoat. So we're going to do this piece right here. Cool. So there we go. Nice and clean. So we're just going to keep going. We're going to knock these out. Anybody have any questions or anything? Oh, Don from Pakistan. Holy crap. Don, if you're still on, thanks for joining. That's really awesome. That is, I have a few international clients. and I am actually able to ship internationally, even though it's expensive and it takes forever, which is something that is a little bit challenging for some companies to do, the larger companies, because I'm a smaller one. I can work with individuals to ship internationally, so I do that quite a bit. There you go. You see it gets a little bit of a sheen to it. Now this will dry a little bit more, satin. It's not a very glossy. I don't really work much in glossy stuff, but we'll do this body, and then I'm going to mix some more paint. Actually, this is too big. I'm not going to have enough. I'm going to mix a little bit more paint. I'll show you what that looks like. We'll do these accessories. The most important thing, if you like painting stuff, is just keep that brush moving, because it's real easy. It's real easy to turn that into a blob of paint if you don't take your time on it. Especially when you have a lot of nooks and crannies and stuff you got to fill in. You just want all the little short bursts, and it'll get that paint in there for you. And then it's easier. So like this has all those little notches and stuff. If you want to get paint down in there, you got to take your time and work that in. And so that's what we're working on there. So I'm out of paint. This thing burns through it. So I'm going to mix another batch, and we'll finish wrapping this up. See, can you see me from there? Cool. All right. So we're using Duracoat. This is Grinch green. If you get the zombie green, they're basically identical. Mixing 1 tablespoon. And then I do 1/4, which is basically, this is a 1 to 12 mix. So it uses a little hardener. You do this 1 to 12 mix, and the 1 to 12 mix will give me the mixture that I need to make sure that this paint dries really, really, really hard. And the beauty of it is, unlike using Tamiya or something like that, a lot of these paints, like here's some Tamiya. One, as you saw if you were on a minute ago, it dries super fast, which allows me to move right into handling it. In 3 hours, I can lay stencils on this. It dries really fast, but it also, once it's dry, I can actually use acetone on it. You can clean it, wipe it down. You can do all kinds of stuff on it. So it really is a super beneficial paint to use, even though it costs a little bit more. I know that the product that I'm delivering is going to be, it'll last as long as you have it, which is the way to be. So, all right, here we go. Another batch of green mixed up in your face. Cool. Little test shot. We're going to do a larger piece now. This has got your base coat on there. So we hit the front. I'm going to hit this back rail like this. There's a groove right there. I need to get in there. So I'm just going to shoot down the line, try to get in that groove, and then I'm going to put my top coat on. Now you got a nice clean, see if I can show you the shine on there. There you go. There's your shine. Yeah. So that's what we're doing. So where's everybody from? We got Pakistan. We got Bradley. What's up? What's up? If you didn't catch on by the video post, I am from Georgia. Yep, I am a little country. Georgia the state, not Georgia the country, obviously, but I am a little country. Most of the time in the shop, if Will's not mad at me for it, I'll be playing country music. But I like just about everything. What kind of music you guys listen to? Hey, from Canada. What's up, CG? I've got quite a few people in Canada. What you doing? Well, I am painting a zombie for a client in the GoatGuns group. I sure hope he sees this and can see his product being worked on. I don't know, man. I really enjoy it, and I really enjoy the finished product. I enjoy the design work of it. And so anybody that is ever interested in learning, I want to teach. My YouTube channel really is a kind of a how-to and teaching how to do things. And this is something that I just really thoroughly enjoy. It's relaxing, even though sometimes it's stressful because, you know, I got a lot of work to do, but I really enjoy it. Gonna get this mag done. So you may also notice that I have a couple of different things right now. I'm mostly just using these skewers. These work really, really well for a lot of things. These are basically like, you can get them on Amazon. You can get them in freaking Kroger, Walmart, Publix, wherever. They are fantastic because I can hold a whole variety of different things. And like something like this, I've got, see right there, I've got tape wrapped around the end of it, and that allows me to slide it up in there and hold this into place. The other thing that I use a lot of are these little guys, and these are amazing. Man, everything focus. There you go. And that allows me to hold these little bitty pieces. These are awesome. They're on Amazon. I usually have them listed in my YouTube channel because they are really helpful. I have like 3 or 4 trays of those all times. So here we go. We're gonna get these ends. I'm gonna get my rail, and then we're just gonna run this nice clean coat all the way around it like that. And that's it. There you go. So this project is something I've done a lot of different zombie versions of. I did a special project for GoatGuns, but I always tell people, like, I can do zombie stuff because zombies is around everywhere, but I can never duplicate what I do for another company. And that's just, you know, you build that trust piece in there. So in this case, I come up with as many different variations as possible because, you know, I want everybody to have their own unique version of stuff. The stand is going to probably get Zombie Hunter on it. Something I'm going to be doing a little bit differently on this project is throwing in the darker green, which I've not done on any of my zombies, and I'm going to actually hit all the edges with this dark green. And then once it's cured, I'll go back and I'll do my black rub on it, which I normally do. All my accessories will be titanium. So like the scope, the barrel, possibly the upper pick rail of the MK22 will be titanium. So we'll have some fun with that. But yeah, that's about it. I think we got all the green painted. I'm going to give the MRAD body one more quick run. Just a nice light shot right there. And then I'm going to mix this dark green up, and we're going to do some shading on the dark green. So I'll show you kind of how I go about doing that if you stick around. There we go. Cool. So now we're good. Now we got a nice finished product. We're going to throw in this one other accessory. I wanted to do this in the silver. I mean, originally going to do it in the silver. I think I'm doing this in the green. The adjustment knob right there. So again, we're going to do really sharp little shots to fill in all, because this has a lot of cracks and crevices in it. So I don't want to just spray because it'll never fill them all in. And then you can see there, I'm trying to fill in all of those little notches and stuff. And then once that background's filled in, I can hit it with a little sharper hit. So now, if you're using regular paints, regular modeling paints, you typically can't go back over stuff as quickly as I do because it doesn't dry fast enough. This dries really, really fast, which allows me to hit that next coat. And then so you can see this will have, basically it's good. It's all set. And then I'm going to distress it, which will fill these cracks in with the darker colors and really bring out a lot of the shapes. So a lot of fun. Cool. So what do we got here? Really, really cool. So do you do only miniature guns or do you do larger ones too? I work with, I'm working on getting my FFL so I can do larger guns. Yes. But I work with another company that's actually a mile away, and that's the King of Camo. And we do some work together to kind of do what we can there, and I'm able to kind of work with him. But mostly I do GoatGuns, I do game controllers, and then once I get my FFL, then I'll start doing some full-size firearms as well. And the shop's going to get really busy. I do a lot of stuff. I have this sweet little RC body, which is a 3D granite body. This is for a client. So we're going to have some fun with that, trying something I've never done before. So yeah, pretty much anything. I got all kinds of stuff going. I fix things, repair things. I do like GoatGun mods, but I don't do them as much because the amount of time they take. And quite honestly, people ask me to mod stuff all the time, but the cost for me to do it is so much that I don't have the time to really mod stuff like I used to. So we're gonna mix some of this dark gray. Stick with me here. Don't go away, and I will show you. So in most cases, I would clean my airbrush completely before I move to the next color. But since I'm sticking with the same kind of green, I'm just going to empty out the majority of this green. And I doubt anybody in here is a Duracoat user, but if you do use Duracoat, this stuff right here cleans it so well. Cleans my brush out really well. So we're going to do 1 teaspoon of this. And we'll do the shading with this darker green, and I'll show you what that looks like. So these bottles I pre-mixed before the video, but normally you want to mix just like any other paint can. You mix until the ball starts rattling. You can hear that. And then you mix it for about 3 minutes. And when you do that, it ensures that the paint that's stuck to the bottom gets fully mixed in, which is really important. Not only to make sure that your pigment is right, but to make sure like when you mix your hardener in, you get the proper hardening. But if you're painting multiple things and you go to paint something the next day, for example, the color will be slightly off if you add too much hardener or too little hardener, or if you don't mix it fully because those pigmentations didn't fully mix in. So you want to make sure that if you're painting things over a series of days, that you are mixing the same way to keep your color consistent. So like, for example, if I was doing an upper and lower receiver and I painted the upper one day and the lower the next day, it's almost guaranteed, even if you're using the same color, that they're going to be slightly different, even if it's the sheen, because hardener will change it from glossier to lighter, more satin kind of color. So, all right, so we got this dark green, and we're going to switch over to the smaller airbrush. I was thinking I was going to use this, but I'm actually going to use my little one here. We'll use this one. Should be good to go. Add a little bit in there. Cool. This is a very small detailed brush. So I'll show you. I'm going to do just a couple pieces here. It really depends on how you want to go about this, but I'm really just going to be adding in shading around all the edges, just for it kind of add a little bit different look to this distressing, and it'll be really subtle, but when the project is done, it'll stand out more when you have all the parts together. I'll show you. This suppressor will almost definitely get, I'll make sure this is spraying. This brush isn't spraying really well. You can sort of see there, you got the darker accents across the top. You can see how it goes dark there. We're going to add that in. Let me get this brush here. It's not spraying very clean. There we go. This is a really fine brush. So here we'll do the mag. So I'm going to run down the lines of the mag here. We're going to run some darker up here. We'll run some darker on the bottom. Run the darker up the backside. Just hit these corners. And this can actually have its own effect if you take the same color that you're painting with and add black or gray. If you're looking for just a little bit of a worn look, you can do that. This is hard to see in this one. I'm going to get something that's a little bit more obvious, I think, here. Let's go. I'm going to hit this so we get a little bit more. So I'm going to shoot basically all these corners. Now, if you want to see what this looks like when I'm done, It'll be posted up on Instagram for sure. And I'll post pictures so you can kind of see what the finished looks like. And it'll help make more sense. There you go. This is a little bit more obvious. So you can see we're just basically leaving that bright green in place, adding in that dark green for the accent. Cool. So now we're going to do, let's do this part here. So this body right here, I'm going to go in and run these edges. Okay. Yeah, this will give you an idea what we're looking at here. So you see that dark in there? Try to get the shine of the light. So when we go to assemble it, that's just going to be accents. And then the black is going to be rubbed into all of the lines. And then we'll do this lower receiver, the same concept. When I'm doing holes like these, I start the brush with no paint. So I'll start it with no paint, and then I slowly pull back, which will fill. Thank you, Will. So like this right here. Here, we'll do it like this. You can see how it fills in the darker around the edges. We'll do the same thing on these tips. I'm going to go around the edge here. We're just adding these darker accents. Not perfect, doesn't need to be. You actually don't want it to be perfect. But there you go. Cool. And we're continuing to add the darker spots in here. There you go. Shading on that piece. Let me go back and add just a little bit more on here. Cool. So as you can see that a little bit better now. You see the shading accents on there. And then again, once we distress it all, it'd be nice. So we're going to throw them in here as well. So again, all this stuff put together, that's when you start really noticing the accent pieces showing up. Cool. So just keep rocking that. Yep. Okay. Move on to this little rail here. Cool. Screw holes are really great. The screw goes on them, around them, and then you can, when you put your screw in there, you'll have like just a little bit of an accent around it, and that gives you a pretty sweet look. All right, so we're going to go a little bit more complex here. I'm going to start working this. This is going to have a lot of darkening to it. So I'm going to add a little bit more paint. We're going to do these two upper rail pieces here, and then we'll wrap up the live. So if you're hanging out, I appreciate you sticking with me. But here we go. I'll show you how this looks. So I'm going down each little hole and literally just quickly blasting a little dark green in it. So you can kind of see there. So we do the dark green right in here. Get that to focus for you. And it just adds a little bit of accent on that. And then here you can see regular, and there with the dark accent all the way down. And then we go back in and we'll add the black on top of that. Again, we're doing the screw holes here. And we don't even have to do every one. We're just adding the accents. There you go. See? Now, also, once when I go to do the distressing piece, and these have had time to cure, so I won't do the distressing until tomorrow to make sure the paint is hard enough. I'll assemble the upper and lower. I'll assemble these parts because I want to make sure that when I do the distressing and the rubbing across the parts of the body that they look like they go together. This is not as necessary because so many of the parts are separated anyway. Cool. Hit this dark back here. This emerald right there. Alrighty. There we go. All right. So now you can see these two pieces. They've got the dark green in there. And then tomorrow I'll do the titanium and then start adding stencils and stuff. And then if you guys want to see, like I said, if you want to see what the end result looks like, then check it out on Instagram, and you'll be able to see the finished product as I'll post them up within probably the first part of the week. So anyway, I thank you very much for following along. That's all I got today. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for asking questions. Deuces.